Two former Quapaw Nation tribal leaders face charges of embezzlement and conspiracy. Plus, why Newton County's Second Amendment Preservation Act is gaining national attention, and Joplin moves to Phase 3 of its COVID-19 response and recovery plan. What this means for the city.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Low temps are back with a chance of a snowy mix this morning. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
It is on us, Tanya. The strong cold front now pressing in from the northwest removes satellite, and there we go. As it's going to sweep in northwest down the southeast. So while we've started up in the northern portion of southeast Kansas, expect that to hit the central portion in between 6 and 9. We do have a little rain on the leading edge of it. Then it transitions over into snow, pushing into the eastern part of southwest Missouri. Let's go with about 9 to 11. And then we'll end up with some rain on the backside of it as it pushes through. Going to be wet, and it is cold outside, so no surprise that we've got the freeze warnings lasting until tomorrow morning. 37 in Joplin, 37 in fact, our dominant number. Not a big drop, we've already dropped, so even up in Yates Center and Chanute, which will be next with the snow, not going to have the bottom drop out of it because we're already there pretty much. Look at these wind chill numbers. 25 in Iowa, 27 in Carthage, only 30 degrees is what it feels like in Neosho. Pretty long band. It lasts there from Colorado up to portions of upstate New York. And it's going to give everybody record cold temperatures for this time of year, especially when you push through portions of by the Great Lakes and the Ohio River Valley. 7-day forecast will show you. We got to let's roll future track really fast. It keeps changing and flopping over, but that'll give you an idea. Luckily, our ground's going to be warm enough not to support any big numbers of accumulation. Are going to see some slushy roads though, especially when you see the pink there, the little freezing rain that turns over. And then they push off into tonight where it becomes scattered rain. Get ready for a chilly week. Cold front is here to stay. Temperatures way below average all the way into the weekend.
Hey, I like that Monday and 80 degrees. That's something to look forward to.
That'll be nice when it gets here, considering that, I'm not a big fan of talking about snow in April.
Yeah.
Late April.
Snow
We're in the
April.
latter third of the month.
Hope you got your yard mowed.
You don't need to worry about this week if it's not done now.
I got mine done. Yay. All right, thanks, Michael. Two former Quapaw Nation tribal members are indicted for embezzlement, conspiracy, and several other charges. Former Chairman John Berry and former Secretary Treasurer Tamara Smiley Reeves, who are now facing a total of 18 indictments. The alleged offenses occurred between April of 2014 and July of 2020. Under the Tribal Criminal Code, the Quapaw Tribal Court indicted John Berry for embezzlement, attempted embezzlement, 2 counts of conspiracy, 4 counts of abuse of office, offense by officers, improper gifts to tribal officials or employees, and theft of services. Tamara Smiley Reeves is facing 8 indictments, including embezzlement, attempted embezzlement, 2 counts of conspiracy, 2 counts of abuse of office, and 2 counts of offense by officers. The indictments come after the Quapaw Nation Gaming Authority requested an Innovative Gaming Solutions to conduct an audit last year. They received allegations of improper bonuses paid to tribal leaders and casino executives. According to court documents, the audit was delayed due to the election and was continued afterwards. Court documents go on to say the auditors found salaries and bonuses in the millions without approval from the Quapaw Business Committee. We reached out to the attorney for John Berry, who sent us this response saying they're aware of the criminal complaint and that, quote, Mr. Berry denies all of the complaints, allegations, and he looks forward to clearing his name in court. Newton County's Second Amendment Preservation Act, which passed in February, is now getting some national attention. A website called Defy Tyrants interviewed County Commissioner David Osborne about the ordinance and posted the video on YouTube last week. The act is intended to provide for protections against all federal acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations that infringe on Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms. The act also provides for the Newton County Sheriff's Office to arrest any federal agents trying to violate the ordinance.
We're one of many counties that have passed those in Missouri. I'd like to get an official count. I'm hoping someone's tracking them, but I've heard is upwards of 20 counties have now passed them. I know McDonald County passed one also. And many states, other states have reached out to us, and other counties in other states saying, hey, how do we do the same thing?
The Missouri House passed a similar act in February. It's currently in the Senate. Joplin City Council last night voted to move to Phase 3 of its COVID-19 response and recovery plan. Moving to Phase 3 means the city is lifting restrictions on indoor gatherings. The city already lifted mask mandates and some restrictions on outdoor gatherings. Private businesses might still enforce mask rules and social distancing, but those are not required by the city.
I think that it's one of those things where I just don't think we want to feel like we went too soon. But I think council's starting to feel significantly more confident that the hard work has been done, and now we can become a little bit more accommodating and less restrictive.
Council also approved a proposed project to widen 32nd Street between Schifferdecker Avenue and Central City Road. Former Kansas Governor Jeff Colyer has formally launched his campaign to reclaim the office in 2022. In his new bid for governor, Colyer is portraying himself as the true conservative in the Republican primary. Colyer narrowly lost the GOP primary in 2018 as governor to then Secretary of State Chris Kobach before Kobach lost to Democrat Laura Kelly. Collier's launch in Topeka featured U.S. Senator Roger Marshall, who endorsed Colyer. The ex-governor endorsed Marshall last year. Former Kansas City Chiefs tight end and longtime Missouri politician Fred Arbanis has died. Arbanis was a key member of the Chiefs' first two-year Super Bowl teams in the 1960s and 70s. The Jackson County Democratic Party, for which Arbanis was a major player for more than 4 decades, announced his death at the age of 82 in a brief statement. No cause was given. Arbanis is a member of the Chiefs Hall of Fame, was a 6-time All-AFL selection, and was picked to the all-time AFL team by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. After his playing career, Arbanis served more than 40 years in the Jackson County Legislature. Well, someone in the 4 states is $40,000 richer, and they might not even know it yet. A winning Mega Millions ticket was sold in Southeast Kansas on April 16th. The winning numbers were 17, 27, 28, 50, 55, and a Powerball of 25, and a Mega Player of 4. Now, the winner matched 4 of those numbers and the Mega Ball for a $10,000 win, but because they chose the Mega Plier option, their prize multiplied to $40,000. Again, the winning numbers were 17, 27, 28, 50, 55, and a Mega Plier of 4. It's 5:07.
If that happens to be you, holler at Tanya, myself, and Brett here in the studio, and we'll take you to breakfast. No bigs. Works for us. We can all be friends here. Snow coming down in the northwestern section of the 4 states as the cold front is now upon us. Everything dropping to the southeast, so everybody's going to get a little taste of it. Reverting back to rain for the afternoon. Our ground really too warm to support a whole bunch of accumulation, but watch out for slushy roads as we continue toward the morning commute. Chilly overnight. As a matter of fact, freeze warnings. Wednesday morning will be our coldest time of the week.
All right, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, COVID cases continue to surge.
Another setback for Johnson & Johnson's COVID vaccine. I'm Laura Podesta with those details, plus new federal guidance that may have you reconsidering your travel plans.
Plus, it was rivalry night for Frontenac and Girard baseball and softball last night. We'll have highlights from the games. And the jury continues to deliberate 1 day after closing arguments in the Derek Chauvin trial. How cities across the nation are bracing for potential fallout after a verdict. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Two of the best baseball teams in the state meeting last night in Webb City. You had the Cardinals hosting the Willard Tigers in COC play. Willard, top-ranked team in the state in Class 5. Webb City, number 2. Bottom 1. This pitch going to skirt away. Devrin Weathers. He's sprinting home from third. Webb City up 1. Then Matt Woodmansee. Fly ball to center. Find some green out there. Shane Knoll trots home from third. Cards hold a 2-0 lead through 4 innings. Top of the 5th. Big inning for Willard. Elliott Friend. All right, back up the middle. That's going to plate 2 Willard Tigers. And Willard up in the 5th inning. Bottom of the 7th. Ball 4 brings Weathers home. Now Webb's within 2. Then another pitch gets away, and here comes Tragan Parker. Webb within 1 with a man on third, but Jared Miles on the mound. Oh, go 12-6 on me. Willard hangs on, beats Webb City 5-4.
First 4 innings, played great defense, but that last inning, some things didn't go our way, and ball didn't bounce the way we wanted to, and it's unfortunate. We're having a hard time with some of those innings. Couple of air here, hit batter there, walk there, and we just couldn't overcome it. Just couldn't overcome it today.
On the Kansas side, rivalry night for Frontenac and Girard baseball and softball. The Raiders on the road facing the Trojans in Girard. Start with softball. 2 of the best in the area with Girard on a 6-game win streak. Frontenac comes in 6-2. Start with some defense. Game 1, 2nd inning. Sarah Goebel. Check out the sliding grab and the wherewithal to come up gunning back to first base. In the 3rd, Frontenac gets on the board first. Annie Lee. She's a double machine. Some girl named Caitlin Hayslip comes over all the way around from first to score. Raiders up 3. In the 5th, same score. Hayslip. Haven't got a chance to do this. She's more talented than her father. Tag it, bag it, and call down. Get you some. Cassie Rooms is very excited for that. Congratulations, kiddo. Girard gets one back in their half. Leah McGowan fights it off to the right side. Bailey Troike trots in, and the Trojans are on the board, but Frontenac gets it one back and more. Hattie Pyle, you get you some, kid. Hat out to right center. Solo home run. Raiders roll by Girard in game 1, 8-1. Game 2, Raiders trying to get the sweep, and the bats stay rolling as Frontenac wins it 14-2. Girard baseball team rolling to start the year through 9 games. Trojans have lost just 1. Split a doubleheader with Colgan earlier this month. Now Girard trying to stay hot. Doubleheader against the 4-2 Raiders, but they ran into that dude Colin McCartney in game 1. McCartney, complete game, 102 pitches, and oh, by the way, he struck out 9 in the process. Shout out to everybody at Girard High School last night for their scoreboard dedication ceremony for the late Dan Smith Sr. as well. A tremendous, tremendous ceremony for a marvelous man. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, the Biden administration faces pressure from U.S. adversaries. We'll have the latest on the White House's dealings with Russia, China, and Iran, and a check on our 7-day forecast. When the KOAM Morning News returns. As we push into the latter third of April, Mother Nature saying, why not? I'll throw anything at you these days. And we've got the snow that has now moved in through portions of northwest 4 states and our highlighted counties throughout northern southeast Kansas right there. Our ground is going to be too warm to support a whole lot of accumulation. But this, once again, it's going to be rain-snow mix. This is what we've been expected, and it hasn't disappointed. Pretty elongated right there. Runs really from us all the way into portions of Nebraska, and then from east to west to Colorado, all the way up to upstate New York. And the cold front, it has already dropped overnight. Whole bunch of 37s being the dominant number on the board. 35 up in Fort Scott, 37 right now, where the snow is coming down in Yates Center and Iola. As far as the wind chill and what it feels like, dropping into the mid-20s. How about 28 in Webb City and 27 in Carthage and in Mount Vernon? Look at Canadian air just grabbed by the jet stream, formulates the beginning of the snow right there and works its way all the way to the East Coast. As far as our day planner goes, it is going to be abnormally cold, about 30 degrees below where we'd be for an April 20th right there, with the rain-snow mix beginning and then scattered showers throughout the afternoon, overnight. That's when we're going to have our coldest time on the entire 7-day forecast. So as it pushes through, we get a break for the evening ride home, then we get scattered. But remember, We got cold temperatures that are going to drop down into the 20s here overnight. Freeze warning in effect. After we get through Wednesday, we finally get to stabilize a little bit, and any precip after that will simply remain as rain. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. The fate of Derek Chauvin now in the jury's hands as closing arguments were delivered yesterday, and cities around the country prepare for possible unrest whenever the verdict is delivered. Skylar Henry's in Minneapolis with the latest.
The jury continues deliberating today in the trial of Derek Chauvin, one day after hearing closing arguments from both sides.
I submit to you that the state has failed to meet its burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Use your common sense. Believe your eyes. What you saw, you saw.
During their final plea, the prosecution again showed video of Chauvin kneeling on George Floyd for nearly 9.5 minutes.
You were told that Mr. Floyd died because his heart was too big. The reason George Floyd is dead is because Mr. Chauvin's heart was too small.
The defense countered by saying Chauvin acted reasonably and that Floyd died because of a heart condition and illegal drug use.
They just want you to ignore significant medical issues that presented to Mr. Floyd.
The jury is sequestered in a hotel while it deliberates. Meanwhile, the entire city, as is the rest of the nation, is waiting anxiously for the result. There are more than 3,000 National Guard troops deployed here in Minneapolis.
Black lives matter! Black lives matter!
Local officials urged protesters to remain peaceful following last year's violence that ensued after Floyd's death.
We cannot cure harm by inflicting harm on others.
Cities across the country are preparing for mass demonstrations.
We will continue to support peaceful protests inside the city of Atlanta.
Chauvin faces up to 40 years in prison if convicted. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Minneapolis.
Our question for you this morning on Facebook and the Insta poll: what do you think the outcome of the trial will be? Leave us your message or take part in our vote. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Be back with Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, all American adults are now eligible for the coronavirus vaccine, meeting President Biden's goal of April 19th eligibility. But that good news is offset with some less promising, including another setback for the Johnson & Johnson shot and new federal guidance that may have you rethinking your summer travel plans. CBS's Laura Podesta explains.
More bad news for Johnson & Johnson and its coronavirus vaccine. The FDA has now ordered this Baltimore plant to stop production of the shot after discovering contamination. But White House Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci has said he expects the vaccine, which was put on pause last week because of its possible connection to extremely rare blood clots, to continue to be administered by Friday.
So what we say to anyone who has doubts about getting a vaccine, we leave it up to you. Look at the data. The data speak for themselves.
More than half of American adults have received at least one shot. In many parts of the country, Pfizer and Moderna vaccine supply is now outpacing demand.
I didn't even have an appointment, and they still got me signed up and got me vaccinated.
Medical experts insist getting the shot is imperative as surges continue in several states. They're urging younger people to get vaccinated. Anyone 16 years and older is now eligible.
Cases and hospitalizations are increasing in some areas of the country, and cases among younger people who have not yet been vaccinated are also increasing.
And worldwide, there are still major problems. In a statement, the U.S. State Department said roughly 80% of countries would soon be marked at the highest do not travel warning level. That would mean adding around 130 countries to the 34 already on that list. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
The State Department says it is adding all those counties to the list primarily because it's more closely aligning its travel advisory with guidance from the CDC. In regards to that plant having to stop production of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, a company spokesperson released a statement to some media outlets that read, quote, "At this time, it is premature to speculate on any potential impact this could have on the timing of our vaccine deliveries. We remain committed to delivering 100 million single-shot doses of our coronavirus vaccine to the U.S. government and helping to bring an end to this global pandemic." That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Northwestern 4 states, take it easy. Slow and steady is going to win the race. Chanute's going to be next on the board along with Iola as the light snowfall moves in from the northwest to the southeast and turns into rain later today. Freezing cold temperatures overnight.
Two former Quapaw Nation tribal leaders face charges of embezzlement and conspiracy. Plus, why Newton County's Second Amendment Preservation Act is gaining national attention, and Joplin moves to Phase 3 of its COVID-19 response and recovery plan. What this means for the city.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Low temps are back with a chance of snow with it. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
And we've got the snow coming down. Northwestern portion of the 4 states here is how we're going to roll on the beginning of the Tuesday, April 20th, the latter third of the month. And while it's going to be light and the ground's not going to support a whole lot of accumulation, we are going to see some slick spots on roads. Chanute and Iola, you are up next as everything is going to drop in from the northwest, move down to the southeast. Looking at say about 6 to 10 a.m. in the central, finally pushing out of the southern portion of southwest Missouri, say about noon, 1 o'clock. And bundle up as well. Our temperatures right now, whole bunch 36 and 37 have been our dominant number. Now, when you factor in our breeze, we're talking about wind chills that have dropped as low as 24 in Iola, 25. In Nevada and Stockton, Commerce only feels right now like it is 30. This band stretches from Colorado all the way to the East Coast. As it progresses through, it'll turn back over into rain on the backside of it and not going to push out of here really until tomorrow. And speaking of tomorrow, frigid cold. Freeze warnings abound as we are going to be into the 20s. Overnight. A little rebound, at least on our afternoon highs after that, stabilizing in the 50s and 60s, but still abnormally cold for this time of year.
Definitely abnormally cold. It's crazy.
Today's high of 41, let's just hypothetically, we top out right at 41. It's 31 degrees below where we'd anticipate being April 20th.
And we haven't even got to the coldest part of the morning yet, I'm guessing.
No, let's go tomorrow morning.
Okay. Tomorrow morning even colder.
That's when we're talking about walking outside feeling about like January, February.
No. Hope you didn't put away that long underwear. All right. Thanks, Michael. Two former Quapaw Nation tribal leaders are indicted for embezzlement, conspiracy, and several other charges. Former Chairman John Berry and former Secretary Treasurer Tamara Smiley Reeves, who are now facing a total of 18 indictments. The alleged offenses occurred between April of 2014 in July of 2020. Under the Tribal Criminal Code, the Quapaw Tribal Court indicted John Berry for embezzlement, attempted embezzlement, 2 counts of conspiracy, 4 counts of abuse of office, offense by officers, improper gifts to tribal officials or employees, and theft of services. Tamara Smiley Reeves is facing 8 indictments, including embezzlement, attempted embezzlement, 2 counts of conspiracy, 2 counts of abuse of office, and 2 counts of offense by officers. The indictments come after the Quapaw Nation Gaming Authority requested Innovated Gaming Solutions to conduct an audit last year. They received allegations of improper bonuses paid to tribal leaders and casino executives. According to court documents, the audit was delayed due to the election and was continued afterwards. Court documents go on to say the auditors found salaries and bonuses in the millions without approval from the Quapaw Business Committee. We reached out to the attorney for John Berry, who sent us this response saying they're aware of the criminal complaint and that, quote, Mr. Berry denies all of the complaint's allegations and he looks forward to clearing his name in court. Newton County's Second Amendment Preservation Act, which passed in February, is now getting some national attention. A website called Defy Tyrants interviewed County Commissioner David Osborne about the ordinance and posted the video on YouTube last week. The act is intended to provide for protections against all federal acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations that infringe on Second Amendment's rights to keep and bear arms. The act also provides for the Newton County Sheriff's Office to arrest any federal agents who are trying to violate the ordinance.
We're one of many counties that have passed those. in Missouri. I'd like to get an official count. I'm hoping someone's tracking them, but I've heard as upwards of 20 counties have now passed them. I know McDonald County passed one also. And many states, other states have reached out to us, and other counties in other states saying, hey, how do we do the same thing?
The Missouri House passed a similar act in February. It's currently in the Senate. Joplin City Council last night voted to move to Phase 3 of its COVID-19 response and recovery plan. Moving to Phase 3 means the city is lifting restrictions on indoor gatherings. The city already lifted mask mandates and some restrictions on outdoor gatherings. Private businesses might still enforce mask rules and social distancing, but those are not required by the city.
I think that it's one of those things where I just don't think we want to feel like we went too soon, but I think council's starting to feel significantly more confident that the hard work has been done, and now we can become a little bit more accommodating and less restrictive.
Council also approved a proposed project to widen 32nd Street between Schifferdecker Avenue and Central City Road. Students at Crowder College are showing off their artistic abilities. It's Fine Arts Week at the school's Neosho, Missouri campus. Some of this week's events include an art exhibition, a sidewalk chalk drawing competition, and a day of service.
This is my teapot. We had to take a natural object, and I chose a seashell. So it's based upon that seashell that I chose. So I decided to do more of like an underwater theme.
The events will continue through Friday. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Researchers got to see what daily life is like for a wolf through the animal's perspective with the help of a color cam. Pretty cool. Plus, scientists discovered new species of dinosaur in Chile. We'll have details, but first, it's 5:37.
Snow upon us in the northern part of southeast Kansas as it drops in, works from northwest to southeast. Got a little bit of rain trying to make its way into the northern portion of southwest Missouri as well. Watch out for slushy roads. Won't have a whole lot of accumulation, but certainly give yourself extra time this morning. And remember, overnight, it's going to be frigid. We've got freeze warnings lasting until 9 a.m. Wednesday morning. After that, we can stabilize a little bit and turn our attention to just rain. Doesn't that sound nice? World Watch is next.
Topping World Watch, new foreign policy challenges for the president. The Biden administration is facing pressure on a number of fronts. Russia's continued military buildup near its border with Ukraine, China's increasing intimidation of Taiwan, and negotiations over the Iran nuclear deal. Amid that country's increasing enrichment of nuclear material, Jennifer Griffin has the latest.
The USS Theodore Roosevelt remains on station in the South China Sea. In the past week, 25 Chinese warplanes entered Taiwan's air defense zone. Now Taiwan wants long-range air-launched cruise missiles from the United States to make its F-16 fighter jets more lethal, to deter an increasingly belligerent Beijing. U.S. officials see signs North Korea could resume its nuclear and ballistic missile tests. An explosion last week at Iran's main centrifuge site in Natanz.
Thank you.
While Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin met with Israel's prime minister, was largely thought to be the work of Israel, which does not believe talks with Tehran will work. Iran recently announced it started enriching its uranium to 60% purity, its highest level ever. And Russia announced it will forbid access to any foreign warships to parts of the Black Sea until October. A Russian MiG intercepted U.S. and NATO patrol aircraft over the Barents Sea today, as the number of Russian forces massing on the border with Ukraine is now higher than any time since 2014, up to 150,000 troops, according to a senior European Union official.
It's the highest military deployment of Russian army and Ukrainian borders ever.
We remain seriously concerned about this buildup, and we call on Russia to be more transparent about their intentions. And in addition to that, to cease the provocation.
Ukraine and European allies want the U.S. to respond.
I think when we put red lines, we have to make them respected by our people and the others. And I think we have to be clear and tough.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan spoke to his Russian counterpart about a possible summit this summer.
President Biden has put values front and center in his foreign policy. He believes that this is the moment where democracies need to prove that they can deliver for their citizens, that ours is the system of government that will ultimately win out in the long run, not autocracy.
The U.S. also sent a stern message to Vladimir Putin that Russia will be held accountable by the United States if jailed opposition leader Alexei Navalny, currently on a hunger strike, dies in Russian custody. It's not clear whether Putin is listening. He has, however, agreed to speak on Thursday at the virtual climate summit being hosted by President Biden. The United Nations is calling for the U.S. to step up when it comes to climate change. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is asking the United States to commit this week to cut its greenhouse gas emissions in half by the year 2030. The United States is the second biggest emitter of greenhouse gases behind China. Well, scientists discovered what's being called a new species of dinosaur in Chile. The bones of an Aracar licanate were found in the country's Atacama Desert. The so-called titanosaur is said to have a small head and long neck and tail, as well as a flat back. The dinosaur is said to have lived between 66 to 80 million years ago. Experts say such a discovery in this area is rare, though several species have been found in Brazil and Argentina. The dinosaur's remains are expected to be exhibited in Chile's Museum of National History. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for something to talk about.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page in our morning Insta poll, jury deliberations now underway in the Derek Chauvin murder trial, asking what you think the outcome will be. And we'll pick up our comments at Dave Sorek, who says this is going to be a very difficult time in America, regardless of the verdicts. It won't end after the jury decides, but we'll go on to appeal, pray for peace, justice, and wisdom. Danita Allen is hoping for a second-degree murder charge. Rocky Cunningham says if the jury comes back with anything less than the most severe verdict, get the hot dogs and marshmallows ready because BLM and other snowflakes will burn and loot all the cities down. Rocky says sad but true, and I love you, Aunt Pat. And Guy Hansen with Maxine Waters incites peaceful protests to prepare to become most peacefully and burn cities to the ground if Chauvin is not convicted. And the reason I wanted to come back to Guy's comments right there is a little piece of the story that we didn't have time to get to earlier. The defense argued that Maxine Waters' comments threatened the sanctity of the jury process. And while the judge would not declare a mistrial for Derek Chauvin over Maxine Waters' comments, he conceded that her comments could be grounds for an appeal. That's what I just wanted to add to Guy's comment right there. Right now on the KOAM News Now Insta poll, we're split. 43% saying it's going to be guilty, 43% saying it's going to be a hung jury. You can make your voice heard. Go to komnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back with the news you need to know before you head out the door right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Every American over the age of 16 is now eligible to be vaccinated against COVID-19. CDC says 132 million people have received at least one vaccine dose. 85 million are now considered fully vaccinated. The Joplin City Council last night voted to move to Phase 3 of its COVID-19 response and recovery plan. Moving to Phase 3 means the city is lifting restrictions on indoor gatherings. The city already lifted mask mandates and some restrictions on outdoor gatherings. Private businesses might still enforce mask rules and social distancing, but those are not required by the city. Two former Quapaw Nation tribal leaders are indicted for embezzlement, conspiracy, and several other charges. Former Chairman John Berry and former Secretary-Treasurer Tamara Smiley Reeves, who are now facing a total of 18 indictments. The alleged offenses occurred between April of 2014 and July of 2020. Former Kansas Governor Jeff Colyer formally launches his campaign to reclaim the office in 2022. In his new bid for governor, Collier's portraying himself as the true conservative in the Republican primary. Colyer narrowly lost the GOP primary in 2018 as governor to then Secretary of State Chris Kobach before Kobach lost to Democrat Laura Kelly. Collier's launch in Topeka featured U.S. Senator Roger Marshall, who endorsed Colyer. The ex-governor endorsed Marshall last year. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Game on in the northwest portion of the 4 states as the snow is coming down on this Tuesday morning, albeit light, but we need to watch out for slushy roads. Ground too warm enough to really support any accumulation, but don't be surprised if there aren't some slick spots out there, especially on the untreated roads. Give yourself extra time on your morning commute. Overnight, temperatures are going to drop down below 30 degrees. Widespread freeze warnings lasting until Wednesday morning, and that will be our coldest time of the entire week. After that, luckily, any precipitation we get for the rest of the weekend, we don't have to talk about snow after today. We can just keep it as rain. Of course, you can always find the latest on the Skywatch weather app.
Researchers got to see what daily life is like for a wolf through the animal's perspective. Janine Moose shows us some of the most interesting things they saw through a color cam.
We know wolves don't sit around howling all day. But what do wolves do besides fend off black bears to protect their cubs? Now, thanks to the wolf collar cam, we get a wolf's eye view. Researchers at Voyageurs National Park in Minnesota fastened a collar cam on a lone wolf they'd trapped and sedated. And off he went.
The big highlight for us was watching the wolf catch fish.
Wolves have been caught on camera fishing, but watching one fish, from his perspective, catching several spawning suckers was a thrill for researchers. Another highlight?
Just watching a wolf chewing on a deer leg bone.
This wolf has a bone to pick. The Voyageurs Wolf Project tracked this young male for 6 weeks, watching crows up in the sky. The camera collar was made by a German company that even makes them extra large for elephants. The wolf cam was programmed to fall off, detach on a specific date, and GPS enabled researchers to retrieve it. What's Tom Gable's favorite oddball tidbit about the secret lives of wolves?
Wolves in our area eat a lot of blueberries.
Not only do they eat them, they sometimes regurgitate them for their cubs to eat. Talk about recycling. The wolf cam collar captured a lot of sleeping, and things were constantly hairy, whether dry or dripping wet.
The lens was covered in hair.
As one viewer noted, I feel so close to this wolf. I like sushi, I run in the woods, and my beard needs a trim, which is what the researchers plan to do the next time they use a wolf collar cam.
Yeah, so what we'll probably do is trim back that hair.
Keep your paws off my coat. A haircut's enough to make a lone wolf howl.
Yeah, I'm upset that little wolf if he had to get a haircut. You never know, Michael.
I like the guy who just says, like, run in the woods. Maybe that dude bathes at the moon, too.
It's kind of cool watching him go fish, though. That's pretty neat.
That's a unique
Good perspective there.
KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Now that the Derek Chauvin trial is in the hands of the jury, asking what you think the outcome will be. Rochelle Ogle, she says guilty. Jake Orton says the jurors get to watch all the video from the incident, listen to witnesses, and see all the evidence. They don't get a picture or clip from the media that heightens people's emotion. I think it's important to respect the jury's verdict because they have a lot more information than us. Chris Westervelt says, I think the outcome will be guilty. What he's done was wrong, hands down. Colleen McGuire says guilty. Colleen says not sure how many of the charges the jury will find him guilty on. Wouldn't want to be a juror on that trial. Praying people don't go bat bleep crazy when the verdict is announced and burn cities down. And Tammy Manwiller says, I feel no matter the outcome, there will be rioting and worse. I feel he did it to show his power. I want him given the highest punishment he can be given. I totally believe Derek Chauvin knew he was killing him. Timmy says he knows he killed him. On our Insta poll this morning, right now we've got 48% of you believing that the jury will come back with a guilty verdict, 41% going hung jury, and 11% going not guilty. Make your voice heard by going to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be back, update our Tuesday morning snow on the Skywatch Storm Tracker right after this. Here we are with rain or snow and rain coming down on this Tuesday morning. The cold front now penetrating northern portions of the 4 states, starting to work its way in the northern part of southwest Missouri as well. Everything is going to drop from the northwest down to the southeast. Going to last till about the noon hour. Now, road conditions looking pretty fair right now. Anticipate slick spots though. Don't know. It's been a while since we had anything like this. There are going to be some slick spots out there, especially when you get into any elevated areas, overpasses, bridges, things of that nature. So let's give ourselves extra time. Everybody just take it slow. Temperatures right now in the mid-30s, but wind chills mid-20s. And speaking of extremely cold temperatures, overnight we're going to drop into the 20s for tomorrow morning with a freeze warning in effect. Luckily, after the snow, we'll just get rain the rest of the week. We'll be back right after this.
Well, your boring experience is over. Wash, the family-friendly laundromat, is now open. With a children's play area, free Wi-Fi, and even an app to pay from your phone. Come experience Wash, the family-friendly laundromat today.
2 former Quapaw Nation tribal leaders face charges of embezzlement and conspiracy. Plus, why Newton County's Second Amendment Preservation Act is gaining national attention, and Joplin moves to Phase 3 of its COVID-19 response and recovery plan. What this means for the city.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6 a.m. Not 10 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Low temps are back and we've got snow already in parts of the 4 states. Here's Michael with a check of your forecast.
You're just thinking by that time snow's going to be out of here. I don't blame you one bit.
Yeah.
I don't blame you one bit for trying to get it out of here. Let's remove the satellite coverage for the clouds and get down to where we are seeing the snow right now. Albeit light, haven't had a whole lot of accumulation. Ground's just too warm, but slushy roads and watch for slick spots, especially on elevated areas. Everything's going to move from northwest down to southeast. So let's roll from about, say, 6:30, 6:45 into the central portion. And then about 8, 9 for the far eastern part of southwest Missouri. And it's going to last a couple hours because it's kind of a thick band as far as how long it's going to take, and it's not moving fast at all. Temperatures are chilly, mid-30s, and factor in the wind chill. How about mid-20s? Here's the problem with it. It lasts from Colorado all the way to upstate New York. That's pretty impressive right there. Weather trend has it sticking around and then eventually turning over into rain for future track in the afternoon hours. After we clear off here on Wednesday morning, that's just going to be the coldest morning of the entire 7-day forecast. Freeze warnings lasting until 9 a.m. tomorrow. At least our daily highs get back into the 50s and 60s. And Tanya, after today, those chances for rain, they just stay as rain.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, let's just keep it as rain.
I'm just thankful that because of scheduling issues, our regular Tuesday night soccer game got moved to last night. Ooh.
Nobody playing today.
No. And we were just feeling the temperatures dropping. Like you knew something was coming.
Mm-hmm.
I was mowing the yard yesterday in a t-shirt, started the game in a sweatshirt, and had a full heavy coat on by the end of the game.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I may have ended up in long underwear at the venue that I was at.
No doubt.
May have.
That doesn't surprise me one bit. All right, thanks, Michael. 2 former Quapaw Nation tribal leaders are indicted, accused of embezzlement, conspiracy, and several other crimes. KOAM's Chris Warner has more.
The Quapaw Nation indicted former Chairman John Berry and former Secretary-Treasurer Tamara Smiley Reeves, who are now facing a total of 18 indictments. Authorities say the offenses occurred between April 2014 and July of 2020. Now, under the Tribal Criminal Code, the Quapaw Tribal Court indicted John Berry for embezzlement, attempted embezzlement, 2 counts of conspiracy, 4 counts of abuse of office, offense by officers, improper gifts to tribal officials or employees, and theft of services. Tamara Smiley Reeves is facing 8 indictments, including embezzlement, attempted embezzlement, 2 counts of conspiracy, 2 counts of abuse of office, and 2 counts of offense by officers. The indictments come after the Quapaw Nation Gaming Authority requested Innovative Gaming Solutions to conduct an audit last year. They received allegations of improper bonuses paid to tribal leaders and casino executives. According to court documents, the audit was delayed due to the election and was continued afterwards. The court documents go on to say the auditors found salaries and bonuses in the millions without approval from the Quapaw Business Committee. We reached out to the attorney for John Berry, who sent us this response saying they're aware of the criminal complaint and that, quote, Mr. Berry denies all of the complaint's allegations and he looks forward to clearing his name in court. The Quapaw Nation Chairman Joseph Talley-Bird issued this statement saying in part, quote, while I'm saddened at the depths of criminality discovered, the Quapaw Nation is a nation of laws and no one is above them. I'm pleased charges have been filed against these individuals who will now face the consequences of their dishonesty and greed. We have all of the court documents and the full press release from the Quapaw Nation on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. I'm Chris Warner for KOAM News.
Thank you, Chris. Each of the counts against Berry and Smiley Reeves carry the possibility of 3 years in prison and a fine of up to $15,000. Newton County's Second Amendment Preservation Act, which passed in February, is now getting some national attention. A website called Defy Tyrants interviewed County Commissioner David Osborne about the ordinance and posted the video on YouTube last week. The act is intended to provide for protections against all federal acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations that infringe on Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms. The act also provides for the Newton County Sheriff's Office to arrest any federal agents trying to violate the ordinance.
We're one of many counties that have passed those in Missouri. I'd like to get an official count. I'm hoping someone's tracking them, but I've heard is upwards of 20 counties have now passed them. I know McDonald County passed one also. And many states, other states have reached out to us, and other counties in other states saying, hey, how do we do the same thing?
The Missouri House passed a similar act in February. It's currently in the Senate. Joplin City Council last night voted to move to Phase 3 of its COVID-19 response and recovery plan. Moving to Phase 3 means the city is now lifting restrictions on indoor gatherings. The city already lifted mask mandates and some restrictions on outdoor gatherings. Private businesses might still enforce mask rules and social distancing, but those are not required by the city.
I think that it's one of those things where I just don't think we want to feel like we went too soon, but I think council's starting to feel significantly more confident that the hard work has been done and now we can become a little bit more accommodating and less restrictive.
Council also approved a proposed project to widen 32nd Street between Schifferdecker Avenue and Central City Road. Well, someone in the 4 states is $40,000 richer, and they might not even know it yet. A winning Mega Millions ticket was sold in Southeast Kansas on April 16th. The winning numbers were 17, 27, 28, 50, 55, and a Powerball of 25 and a Megaplier of 4. The winner matched 4 of those numbers and the Mega Ball for a $10,000 win, but because they chose the Megaplier option, their prize multiplied to $40,000. Again, the winning numbers were 17, 27, 28, 50, and 55, and a Megaplier of 4. With the possibility of colder weather coming in, which it is, you may be wondering how to keep your plants safe with a big drop in temperature. We spoke with a master gardener who explains there are steps those with gardens can take to keep their plants intact.
Go ahead and take a big 55-gallon trash bag and drape it right over the top of it, turn it inside out, and then just tape off that bottom. And that should protect those plants and those trees and any young bushes that are in flower or fruit right now.
The master gardener also says keeping crops insulated and potted plants inside will protect them from drops in temperature. Definitely getting that. 6:07.
Being done with cold. First off, let's talk about snow. Then we'll get into freeze warnings. Here's where we sit right now, moving into Chanute, already on top of Iola and Fredonia. Parsons, Independence, that line up to portions of Butler and then eventually Nevada. That is going to be the next one that's going to encounter the light snowfall that's going to result in slushy roads. Now let's talk freezing cold. That's going to develop overnight. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be down into the 20s. Once again, take care of your plants. After that, we kind of get out of freezing territory, but still abnormally cool this week. Luckily, any precipitation after today, just going to be rain.
All right, that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, going green.
The solar energy industry is heating up. I'm Chris Martinez with a look at how more Americans are tapping into the power of the sun.
Plus a warning to people who wear makeup heading back into the office after working from home over the last year. And we hear about Arvest Bank's Million Meals Initiative to help prevent food insecurity. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Money Watch this morning, it's the dawn of a new day for solar energy. A growing number of homeowners are installing the sun-powered panels. Experts believe the industry will keep rising. Chris Martinez reports.
Solar panels are going up on Peter Samsel's roof. The Massachusetts homeowner says helping the environment was his top priority.
I want it to be a proven technology, and now it is.
It cost him about $21,000 after tax credits and rebates, but he expects to save about $3,000 a year in energy.
It should pay me back within about 7 or 8 years so that I break even at that point and then start saving.
I've been very happy with the results.
Just up the road, John Perizzo installed solar 2 years ago. He occasionally needs electricity from the grid when it snows, but most months the panels power his house. And in his state, he receives a paid credit when they produce extra energy.
I think it's almost a no-brainer.
With more affordable prices and government tax credits, installations are on the rise. The Solar Energy Industries Association says 4% of U.S. homes currently have panels, but that number is projected to more than triple by 2030.
Homeowners in warm, sunny states like California are more likely to install the technology, but it's now being adopted in colder parts of the country.
It's hard to tell this Wisconsin house has a solar roof.
It looks like a futuristic roof.
Jason Lacine decided to have a Tesla roof put in on his new home. The strong tempered glass tiles work like solar.
It's roughly, in this area, about 3 times the cost of a really nice shingle roof.
The power created recharges a battery like this one that distributes electricity to the house.
We love it.
The system is significantly more expensive than traditional solar, but Lacine says having the look is worth it. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
That's really cool. Well, current federal tax credits for solar end in 2024, but the industry is pushing Congress to extend them. McDonald's is partnering with South Korean pop band BTS for its latest celebrity meal. It's the traditional 10-piece McNuggets meal, but it comes with 2 dipping sauces, sweet chili and Cajun, inspired by recipes from the chain's South Korea locations. The BTS meal goes on sale worldwide next month. That's it for Money Watch. Let's toss it over to Michael for a look at your forecast.
Hey, a cold and snowy one, Tanya. It is the latter third of April, and yeah, we're talking about April 20th snow here on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, now moving through Chanute, already on Iola. That Independence Parsons Nevada line, diagonal like that, is going to be next as everything falls from the northwest down to the southeast. We are going to see accumulation numbers in excess of an inch up here to the north. Ground is pretty warm, still need to anticipate slushy roads and freezing on elevated areas, bridges, overpasses, etc. This thing lasts from Colorado all the way to upstate New York. It is a very, very long line. And our threats aren't done as of yet because we still got to worry about freezing cold temps by the time we get to overnight. Right now, we pretty much sit in the mid-30s, but you factor in a little wind chill there and it only feels like it's mid to high 20s. And there gives you an idea, just grabs that Canadian air, whips it all the way to the East Coast. and we're going to see record cold temperatures, especially in portions of the eastern part of the United States. Only around 41 today with the rain-snow mix. Future track will turn a little bit of it over as it moves through southwest Missouri. That's why the majority of our accumulation numbers snow-wise are going to be up to the north. Overnight, we are going to drop down into the 20s. That is going to present freeze warnings throughout the entire states. Not only the plants, don't forget to cover up the outdoor pipes. Been a while since we had to get through this one. After that, hey, at least our precip just stays as rain the rest of the week. Be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Warmer weather. Topping Health Watch this morning. In the past year of the pandemic, many people have worked from home and may have taken a break from getting dressed up or putting on makeup. But as more Americans get vaccinated and head back to an office, a warning about that makeup you had a year ago. It does expire. Mandy Gaither has more on when to throw out that old makeup.
It may have been sitting around for months, that makeup you haven't touched much since the beginning of the pandemic.
Expiration dates are really important to keep in mind when it comes to makeup.
Dr. Susan Masick, a dermatologist and assistant professor in the Ohio State College of Medicine, says sometimes manufacturers will stamp on an actual date of expiration, but they may also put on a period after opening stamp.
Oftentimes there'll be a logo with an open jar and a number and an M after it, which means, for example, 6M would be 6 months after opening would be an appropriate expiration.
When it comes to shelf life, Dr. Masick says any eye makeup like mascara or liner should be replaced after 3 months. Liquid blushes, concealers, or foundations throw out after a year. Anything that's a pencil for your lips, brows, or eyelids can stay around for a year as well. Lipsticks and lip glosses are good for 1 to 2 years. Not only can expired products not work as well, but can also harbor potentially harmful germs.
The downsides to those kinds of contaminations, which are generally things like skin infections, skin irritation, certainly eye infections, conjunctivitis, styes, those things can all arise from contaminated and or expired makeup.
If you notice your makeup is drying out, don't put water or saliva on it.
That actually introduces even more bacteria that you're then going to be spreading on your face.
So if you're spring cleaning, you might want to include your makeup bag. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dr. Masick says it's also important to store your makeup properly in a cool, dry place and clean brushes and sponges. Also, don't ever share your makeup with anyone because you might be sharing germs as well, especially that eye makeup. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Our Parsons-Pittsburgh Nevada line will be up next as far as our snow goes on this Tuesday morning. Extreme cold temperatures as we find wind chills right now in the mid-20s. Overnight, it only gets colder as we're going to drop down to a point where we've got freeze warnings lasting into Wednesday morning. This thing's going to be with us all the way into the afternoon, turn over into rain the farther south that it pushes. Of course, we'll keep you updated on the Skywatch weather app.
Two former Quapaw Nation tribal leaders face charges of embezzlement and conspiracy. Plus, why Newton County's Second Amendment Preservation Act is gaining national attention, and Joplin moves to Phase 3 of its COVID-19 response and recovery plan. What this means for the city.
The four states most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We've got low temps back in the forecast, and there is already snow in parts of the four-state area. Here's Michael with a check on your forecast.
We are waiting for the flakes to fly outside of Television City. It only is 36 degrees with a wind chill right now of 27. Here's where the snow is. Let's lose the cloud cover so we get a better look as it approaches a line from Parsons, Pittsburgh to Nevada. Everything moving in from the northwest. That's where we'll see accumulation numbers in excess of an inch. Luckily, our ground a little too warm to support a whole lot of accumulation, but we will see it on elevated areas. Watch out for slick spots, especially on overpasses and bridges. That's going to be our key factor and why you should give yourself several extra minutes to get out the door. Temperatures right now in the mid-30s with wind chills ranging down to the mid-20s. just about everywhere. It's not like one of those things where the cold front is going to be on us and slowly go down throughout the day. It's already on us. Look at this snow stretching from western Kansas all the way to upstate New York. As far as what we've got for our weather trend, going to be stuck in the 30s and 40s all day long. More importantly, after this rolls through, turns back into rain for the afternoon, temperatures plummet overnight. Wednesday morning will be our coldest of the 7-day forecast. Freeze warnings for the entire 4 states. After we get through the snow today and the frigid Wednesday morning, at least we get a little bit of a rebound, and our rain will simply stay as rain for the rest of the week.
It's going to be another cold one again tonight, that's for sure.
Woo! You know, we've been talking about the plants, and rightfully so. Let's not forget outdoor plumbing. Another key factor. Yeah, got those pipes outside.
Way to cover those, get it done.
Cover them up, just in case.
Let it drip. There you go. Thanks, Michael. Well, 2 former Quapaw Nation tribal leaders are indicted for embezzlement, conspiracy, and several other charges. Former Chairman John Berry and former Secretary Treasurer Tamara Smiley Reeves, who are now facing a total of 18 indictments. The alleged offenses occurred between April of 2014 and July of 2020. Under the Tribal Criminal Code, the Quapaw Tribal Court indicted John Berry for embezzlement, attempted embezzlement, 2 counts of conspiracy, 4 counts of abuse of office, offense by officers, improper gifts to tribal officials or employees, and theft of services. Tamara Smiley Reeves is facing 8 indictments, including embezzlement, attempted embezzlement, 2 counts of conspiracy, 2 counts of abuse of office, and 2 counts of offense by officers. The indictments come after the Quapaw Nation Gaming Authority requested Innovative Gaming Solutions to conduct an audit last year. They received allegations of improper bonuses paid to tribal leaders and casino executives. According to court documents, the audit was delayed due to the election and was continued afterwards. The court documents go on to say the auditors found salaries and bonuses in the millions without approval from the Quapaw Business Committee. We reached out to the attorney for John Berry, who sent us this response saying they're aware of the criminal complaint and that, quote, Mr. Berry denies all of the complaint's allegations and he looks forward to clearing his name in court. Newton County's Second Amendment Preservation Act, which passed in February, is now getting some national attention. A website called Defy Tyrants interviewed County Commissioner David Osborne about the ordinance and posted the video on YouTube last week. The act is intended to provide for protections against all federal acts, laws, orders, rules, and regulations that infringe on Second Amendment rights to keep and bear arms. The act also provides for the Newton County Sheriff's Office to arrest any federal agents who are trying to violate the ordinance.
We're one of many counties that have passed those in Missouri. I'd like to get an official count. I'm hoping someone's tracking them, but I've heard is upwards of 20 counties have now passed them. I know McDonald County passed one also. And many states, other states have reached out to us, and other counties in other states saying, hey, how do we do the same thing?
Missouri House passed a similar act in February. It's currently in the Senate. Joplin City Council last night voted to move to Phase 3 of its COVID-19 response and recovery plan. Moving to Phase 3 means the city is lifting restrictions on indoor gatherings. The city already lifted mask mandates and some restrictions on outdoor gatherings. Private businesses might still enforce mask rules and social distancing, but those are not required by the city.
I think that it's one of those things where I just don't think we want to feel like we went too soon, but I think council's starting to feel significantly more confident that the hard work has been done, and now we can become a little bit more accommodating and less restrictive.
Council also approved a proposed project to widen 32nd Street between Schifferdecker Avenue and Central City Road. Former Kansas Governor Jeff Colyer formally launches his campaign to reclaim the office in 2022. In his new bid for governor, Colyer is portraying himself as the true conservative in the Republican primary. Colyer narrowly lost the GOP primary in 2018 as governor to then Secretary of State Chris Kobach, before Kobach lost to Democrat Laura Kelly. Colyer's launch in Topeka featured U.S. Senator Roger Marshall, who endorsed Colyer. The ex-governor endorsed Marshall last year. Former Kansas City Chiefs tight end and longtime Missouri politician Fred Arbanis has died. Arbanis was a key member of the Chiefs' first two Super Bowl teams in the 1960s and 70s. The Jackson County Democratic Party, for which Arbanis was a major player for more than 4 decades, announced his death at the age of 82 in a brief statement. No cause was given. Arbanis is a member of the Chiefs Hall of Fame, was a 6-time All-AFL selection, and was picked to the all-time AFL team by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. After his playing career, Arbanis served more than 40 years in the Jackson County Legislature. A homeless man is charged with arson after a fire Sunday at the Cape Girardeau Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Prosecutors charged 45-year-old Christopher Pritchard with the enhanced hate crime of property damage in the first degree. He's also charged with arson in the second degree, burglary in the second degree, and felony stealing. Authorities say they charged Pritchard with a hate crime because he was knowingly motivated to do so by reason of a motive related to the religion of the people who worship at the Church of Latter-day Saints. According to court documents, a report was made to the sheriff's office on Friday that Pritchard had threatened to bash in the head of the church bishop with a brick and to burn the church down. Let's look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. A brief but historic flight for NASA's Ingenuity helicopter as it took flight over Mars. Plus, for our Something to Talk About, we're asking, what do you think the outcome of the Derek Chauvin trial will be? We let you weigh in. But first, it's 6:37.
The Tuesday morning snow is moving from the northwest to the southeast. Everybody's going to get a little taste of it. Majority of the accumulation is going to be up in the north. Anticipate slushy roads. It'll eventually turn over into rain as it progresses through southwest Missouri at highs only in the 40s today. We'll be back with Nation Watch next.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, space exploration soars into a new era when NASA's Ingenuity helicopter took flight over Mars. Chris Martinez explains the mission and the reaction on Earth.
It lasted just 39 seconds, but that's all it took to make history as the first helicopter to fly on another planet. The 4-pound Ingenuity spun up its rotors and rose into the thin air above Mars. As the images reached Earth, the NASA team knew it had accomplished a breakthrough.
To see it now finally happen on Mars and happen exactly the way that we imagine it is just a really incredible feeling.
The flight was recorded by the Perseverance rover, which delivered the $85 million helicopter to Mars earlier this year. The Ingenuity's onboard camera system snapped its own photo as it hovered 10 feet above Mars, showing a clear image of its shadow on the planet's dusty surface. NASA's elated project manager ripped up her contingency plan, which she'd prepared in case the mission failed.
We can now say that human beings have flown a rotorcraft on another planet.
The Ingenuity took 6 years to build. It's just 19 inches tall and had to be light enough to lift off in the thin atmosphere, but sturdy enough to withstand the extreme Martian weather.
It's the start of a whole new kind of planetary exploration, and we'll build on Ingenuity's success to see how we can deploy this capability on future Mars missions.
Engineers compared the mission to the Wright brothers' first flight more than 100 years ago at Kitty Hawk, and even attached a bit of fabric to the helicopter from the 1903 Wright Flyer, a nod to the past, but a leap into the future. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
That's cool. I didn't know that last detail there. Well, NASA is planning up to 5 more flights to test the Ingenuity's abilities. Every American over the age of 16 is now eligible to be vaccinated against COVID-19. The CDC says 132 million people have received at least one vaccine dose. 85 million are now considered fully vaccinated. Former Vice President Walter Mondale has died. Mondale served one term under President Jimmy Carter from 1977 to 1981. In 1984, he was the Democratic presidential nominee, but lost in a landslide to Ronald Reagan. Fritz Mondale was 93 years old. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Something to Talk About.
I didn't realize that. I know, I missed that overnight. That was one of those where I was like, what? Wow. KOAM News Now Facebook page and Morning Instapoll. The Derek Chauvin trial now in the hands of the jury, asking how you think it will end. We'll go with John Trebian, who says, guilty or innocent, the media will make a mess of it and troubles will follow. Good morning, KOAM. Good morning, America. We say good morning, John. Rick Norton says, good morning, KOAM News Crew in Pittsburgh, KS. Good morning, Rick. It's going to be a hung jury, Rick believes. He says the state did not prove their case, but either way, these peaceful protesters will burn and loot everything in sight. Buck Thomas says, no matter the outcome, media will make it worse. And Michelle Pacini, good morning, KOAM and Mama, club member. Michelle says, myself, I hope he gets the full 40 without the possibility of parole. Just like in all other groups of people are not all bad and should never judge one's actions to everyone as a whole. Just make sure that the bad ones are punished. It's a huge part of the problems now, Michelle says. We all know our fair share of them, sadly. And Glenn Ritchie says, tough case to be a juror on. He may be guilty. But of what? Glenn asks. Either way, it needs to be over. This dragging on is hard on everyone. Good morning, KOAM News Team. Good morning, KOAM Country. And Glenn, a good morning to you, sir. On the KOAM News Now Insta poll this morning, 48% of you say you think it's going to come out as a guilty verdict. 39% say hung jury, 13% going not guilty. You can make your voice heard by going to KOAMnewsnow.com. We're going to come back and celebrate birthdays and anniversaries next.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Jimmy Lansdowne, who served in the United States Army. He served in Italy and Germany during World War II. We are proud to salute Jimmy Lansdowne, our four-state hero.
Our birthday list begins with Easton Hines. He's out cruising right there. Easton will get you some warm weather, buddy, get you back on the road. He's celebrating his 8th in Anderson.
All right, down in Diamond, Missouri, Alyssa Anderson celebrating birthday number 24. Hope it's a great one, Alyssa.
And Gene Myrick, a happy 57th birthday. Sooner Pride right there. Gene celebrating in Iola.
Wonder what he's getting ready to bake up there. Maybe it's a cake. Well, Scott and Joanne Shepard are celebrating 6 years of wedded bliss. Congratulations to the Shepards.
That's a pretty picture right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know where that was. Let us know, Scott and Joanne. That looks gorgeous. Dixie Murdoch, a happy 82nd birthday. Dixie is in Parsons. Jeff and Bev Beaver, a happy anniversary to you. The Beavers are in Joplin. And Margaret Hollinshead, Miss Margaret, love doing her birthday each and every year as she celebrates 110 years old. And I think just about everybody in Chanute knows her because she was probably your music teacher at some point in time. 4 decades as a music teacher in Chanute. Happy birthday, Miss Margaret. Have a marvelous, marvelous birthday, man. Happy birthday, happy anniversary to all on this April 20th. Now here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Waiting on the snowflakes to arrive from the Tower Cam, a live look outside of Television City as we find ourselves 49 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's go ahead and remove the cloud cover, see exactly where our line is. Just about getting into Pittsburgh right now. And the lighter snow from that Nevada, Girard Independence line, still coming down at a pretty good clip up to the northwest. It'll be lighter here as it moves towards southwest Missouri and northeast Oklahoma. Not a whole lot of accumulation. Luckily, our ground kind of too warm to support, just piling up. But elevated surfaces, especially bridges and overpasses, that's where we're going to run into some slick spots on the road and some slushy roads, especially as this thing transitions over into rain here a little bit later. It's impressive in scope. Look at this. It runs from Colorado right through us is really where it gets a little thicker, north-south wise, and continues on all the way past the Great Lakes into upstate New York. Temperatures right now, mid-30s for the most part, 36 in Joplin, 37 in Independence, and 36 in Nevada. We throw that wind in there, and we've got wind chills as low as 21 in Iola, a whole bunch of mid-20s after that. It feels like 26 in Neosho and 30 in Commerce. just grabs the cold Canadian air in the mid-level jet stream, sweeps it to the Rockies, picks up the moisture split jet stream. You're going to have to get down here to even have temperatures that are close to normal for this time of year. In between today and tomorrow, we're going to see record-setting cold stretching from the Midwest all the way to the East Coast. This thing is rather impressive. So the rain-snow mix throughout this morning and into the afternoon hours, and we'll transition here into what's going to transpire on Wednesday morning because we've got freeze warnings. A couple things we're going to need to work at. Number one, the plants. Number two, outdoor pipes, and plumbing is going to be an issue. As we get closer to noon, we begin to see it flip over. That's some freezing rain right there. Of course, that's going to be the most dangerous when it comes to driving. See the snow pick up on the eastern part of southwest Missouri. Stays as rain out in the west and the south through northeast Oklahoma. Breaks up for the evening hours, and then we just get some scattered precip overnight that should stay as rain. But the big thing is how low we're going to fall. Freeze warnings as overnight lows are going to be in the mid-20s. We got a chance to break a record low here by the time we get into Wednesday morning. We do rebound, get into the 50s tomorrow, 50s, 60s rest of the week. Key factor for that is, any shots of precip that we see there, luckily they can just remain as rain. We'll be back and wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News right after this. And the Skywatch Storm Tracker, I ran out of comments, guys. I'm bad. And this is more important, honestly. We're awaiting on it here at Television City. I know right now about 50% of the 4 states is not having to wait on it, as we've got snow in the latter third of April. My goodness. Now, we haven't picked up any storm reports as of yet. Earlier, look at some storm reports up by I-70. They got as much as an inch. So as it rolls through, it's capable of dropping, I don't want to say a lot, but then again, it's the latter third of April. That is kind of a lot for the latter third of April. But think about this weekend when our ground really did warm up, and so that's going to prevent a whole lot of ground accumulation. You'll see it on elevated surfaces. I just want everybody to be apprised because it's been relatively calm here lately. We're not used to driving on it this time of year. Bridges, overpasses, things of that nature. They are going to have slick spots. Our roads are going to be slushy this afternoon because it's going to flip over to rain. So let's just give ourselves extra time here. Slow and steady is going to win the race. And remember, overnight, freeze warnings. We're going to drop down, say about 26 degrees for tomorrow morning. So, Tanya, with the wind coming in from the north, I don't know. Wind chill around 19, 20 degrees.
Ooh.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't even want to think of that. That's not even pleasant.
But you bring up a great point. The light at the end of the tunnel. Look on the far right-hand side at the 70.
Very true. Very true. I know. I'm looking forward to Monday.
Yeah, so let's get there.
It's going to be great. If we can make it through this week, we'll be fine.
Let's just get there safely. And as Tanya and I have been stressing, remember, it's not only the plants, but also outdoor plumbing.
There you
outdoor pipes that are outdoors, I should say, not outdoor. I mean,
cover what you can.
If you got the outhouse, it's probably going to be too cold to go in the outhouse. If you have pipes that are outdoors or exposed, you may want to cover them up, or just use the outhouse. I mean, it's up to you.
All right, Michael. All right, here's a check of your top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Every American over the age of 16 is now eligible to be vaccinated against COVID-19. The CDC says 132 million people have received at least one vaccine dose. 85 million are now considered fully vaccinated. 2 former Quapaw Nation tribal leaders are indicted for embezzlement, conspiracy, and several other charges. Former Chairman John Berry and former Secretary Treasurer Tamara Smiley Reeves are now facing a total of 18 indictments. The alleged offenses occurred between April of 2014 and July of 2022. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Of course, your morning news continues right here on KOAM. We've got the CBS Morning News. That's coming up next.
Yeah.
Or you can flip on over with us on Fox 14. We're going to continue to monitor the snow as it moves through the 4 states, the cold front that is truly upon us, and also a marvelous interview about how you can help food banks in the 4 states, especially during the spring months. A lot of people don't think about it. It's actually when they kind of need it the most.
And then if you join us on the KOAM News at noon, we're making Twinkie cupcakes in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Twist my arm, I'll be right here with you. Have a great, safe day. Be careful out there on the roads. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.